All right, everyone. Hello again, and thank you for watching these. Today we are listening again to the Troubleshooter Abandoned Children album, and this song is "I Am Waiting for You." Um, let's see. So today, since nobody replied to my poll on Instagram, I just decided to talk about what I feel like talking about. And what that means is giving you a little more background on me in general and how I ended up in Japan, how I feel about my, I don't know, relationship with my wife, because she is still my wife. She will not divorce me. Anyway, we're gonna roll things back here and give you some background. I think this is gonna end up being 2 or 3 parts, but let's start at one of the beginnings. So we're going back to 2016, 2015 or 2016, I should say. At that time, I was in college. I was at a wonderful college, Amherst College, having challenging experiences that I asked for. Like that's the main reason I went to college. I knew there was something missing in myself, and this is kind of always who I've been. When I feel like there's something I need to develop in myself, I figure out the best place and the best way to do it, and I go seek out those experiences, as challenging as they might be. The good news is, after I learn, I end up having a great time, and I had set up a pretty wonderful life for myself in Amherst. I was active on campus. Like, I had developed some great relationships with the administration. I was doing some really, really cool things behind the scenes to try to help everyone and make all of our lives better. And I was in a wonderful relationship. I will say that that is the greatest relationship that I have had, romantic relationship in particular. That is the greatest relationship I have ever had, and I challenge anyone out there to replicate that greatness. We had passion, commitment to each other, mutual respect. Our communication game was out of this world. We never had fights. I'm not an argument type of person. I'm not an argumentative person, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. Like, miss me with that shit. And so when I landed in Japan and found myself having like shouting matches with my wife, I really did not like the person I became. But that we're saving for video 2 or 3 about this topic. So, back in 2015, 2016, I was in a wonderful monogamous relationship, and I made the one mistake, the one thing that is objectively a mistake when it comes to psychopharmacology, going off of your meds cold turkey. I was also smoking a ton of weed at the time, but that definitely had an impact, but the mistake was going off meds cold turkey. Part of me wanted like I believe everyone wants to have their happiness founded not on something external, be it a medication or whatnot. And let me be clear, I am not against psychopharmacology. It has saved my life on multiple occasions. So let's not mince words there. So I made that tragic error, which, I mean, in a way, it is objectively a mistake, and it landed me here. So all of the things that occurred as a result of that, for a long time I felt guilty about. Um, Now I think about them as experiences that I've had to learn and grow from. And in a certain way, they're sacrifices that I had to make to become the person I am now. And not all sacrifices are done with this. Like, sacrifice doesn't have to mean that you're giving something up with a begrudging spirit. Like, a lot of sacrifices can be joyful. I make my sacrifices joyfully these days. Anyway, so at that time, I was open to relationships, but I guess, how do I put this? Because we're talking about me identifying as poly now. And I want to give a little just kind of background, or like my thinking on what that means. Because a lot of what I saw when it came to people identifying as poly then on campus, and even now in just my life, I see a lot of people identifying as poly and using it just kind of as an excuse to be a hoe. And the thing is, you don't need an excuse to be a hoe. Just be a hoe. Like, I'm not out here slut shaming anybody. Listen, if you are getting whatever equipment you have, like, wet and serviced and enjoying your life, and there's mutual consent, respect, and honesty, there's no reason to have any shame in your game. Now, here's the thing. To me, true poly, whatever like suffix you want to add, polyamory, polyromantic, poly, whatever, is actually really, really difficult to manage and maintain. Like being monogamous and being polyamorous, they're different ways of being, but I don't think one is better than the other. We're all just different. I just happen to not be a monogamous human. I'm also not a cheating human, a very important thing. I take my commitments very seriously. And so one of the things that I gave up when I realized that I was poly, like this was a budding realization over a year into my amazing relationship with my partner, was like it like I turned my back on that relationship. Like that relationship was going strong. She's fucking awesome. She was. I mean, I imagine she's still fucking awesome, but she was super awesome. Like she's also a monogamous human, or was at the time, and it was very single-handed. Yes, absolutely. Possibly patronizing or paternalistic to possibly, but I didn't want to hurt her, and she was willing to attempt to have an open relationship with me, like meaning it would be open on my side. She wasn't interested in being open and in having that for herself, and I was the one that decided that wasn't gonna work. Not because I wanted to go hoeing around, but because she was gonna let me hoe around either way. I didn't want to hurt her, and like I said, like that's a decision I made, and I felt bad about it for a long time. I regretted it for a long time, but I'm pretty sure I would have made the same decision, like in any of those situations, just given there are a lot of other factors at play here. Anyway, we can get into that more at another time. So, so, so yeah, that is a really important thing that I gave up in order to, basically, in order to feel solid in my identity as a poly person. I didn't want any of my actions to be causing harm to someone I cared about. So I chose to do some upfront harm, I guess is the best way to put that, and hope that a friendship would still exist on the other side of it. Anyway, this is all kind of a preamble to other things, right? So how did I end up married? Right? I didn't stop being poly, and so here's another thing, and part of I think what informs my identity as being poly. Like I saw my parents like not being happy in their relationship. I've never been super into like the magical idea of eternal love and marriage. I'm a super romantic person. Like when it comes down to it, I'm happy to make whoever I'm with feel loved and happy and cared for. I don't subscribe to the idea that like the ceremony and the contract of marriage like somehow magically mean that like it's always the best call for people to stay together forever. I just don't believe that. At the same time, both ways of life have merit, and by both ways I mean polyamorous lifestyles and relationships and monogamous relationships. There are different kinds of things that can come from both. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess thank you for listening. We're gonna wrap it up pretty soon here, but yeah, I at the same time as turning my back on that relationship, I was trying to expand my kind of inner, like expand my heart, I guess is the simplest way to put it. I was trying to find a way to be able to love like everyone, like in the world, all people equally. Bit of a magnanimous thing to aim for, but that's me, whatever. And given that I was happy at the time, but I was not stable. I wasn't balanced. And that's something that being in Japan has given me, as I mentioned in the past video. Um, anyway, yeah, I think so. So 2016, I ended up losing my shit and falling apart, completely crumbling. Like, I dropped out of college basically like months before I was due to graduate. I turned my back on this relationship very unilaterally. Um, all sorts of things were just kind of falling apart. I was in so much of a rush to make things happen right away, immediately, because the world is just so like screwed up and begging for like change that like all sorts of I pushed myself too far, and I fell apart. And that is what the next chapter will be about. I will tell you about my experiences, basically hitting the biggest rock bottom of my life. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.